to introduce Reagan Hudson. And I've had the pleasure of working with her for the last few semesters as she's been putting together her honors project, Angst and A little bit about Reagan. She's the daughter of Wade and Shannon Hudson of Dickens, Nebraska. She's an English writing major with a minor in editing and publishing, as well as social media and online communications. While at Wayne State College, Reagan's been involved with the following: writing peer tutor at Wayne State College's Holland Academic Center, Wildcat Marching Band, percussion ensemble, Wayne State College Green Team, book coordinator for WSC's Delight Ministry, head of social media for WSC's Active Minds, WSC's theater program, a writer and photographer for the Wayne State newspaper, as well as on the dean's list every semester. She's been busy. In the spring of 2024, she'll be moving back home after she graduates here to work remotely in editing and publishing industry. And I have the pleasure of giving Reagan her honors cords for graduation as well.
Hello everybody, thank you so much for making it. So for my honors project, I wrote a book called Angst in Ink. So an overview of the presentation. First we're going to dive a little bit more into the background, because to understand the content you need to know a little bit of the inspiration behind it. And then we're going to look at the process, how the dream became a reality. And then we're going to have a sneak peek. We'll actually take a look inside and read some of the pieces, as well as the front matter, back matter, stuff like that. And then we're going to take a look at what is going to happen after this presentation, now that it's been approved. So, of course, back in high school, there was this boy that I liked, and long story short, he let me on for like 2 years. Yeah, kind of cringy, but you know. So he told me he loved me every night, and he said that if he was stranded on a deserted island, I would be the one to go with him. And he even took me to homecoming, said I looked beautiful, carried me to my car in the rain afterwards. It was great, until it wasn't great. So, I don't want to spoil anything, it's covered in the book, but yes, I did have to go to therapy. After that, he started talking to me less and less, and eventually ghosted me completely. And then half of my friends became his new best friends, so I was replaced on both sides of the relationship. Not a fun time. So why does this matter now? Feeling like the world was out to get me, I turned to reading. I'd always been a bookworm, but now I spent more time reading than with my friends. I never really read poetry though. I'd also go for more of like a novel, because I found that it wasn't how the words were presented on the page, but it was how it made you feel that was memorable. There was this one book series in particular that got me thinking about poetry. And this is Berserk by Michael Grant, and I will read a brief summary. So stakes rise as Sadie McClure's search to find her parents' killers lead her into the middle of a vicious war taking place on the microscopic level called the nano. She joins other hackers in the group called Berserk to stop the opposing team by using nanotechnology to alter everyone's brains to take away free will in order to make a utopia. Can Sadie and her new friends stop Charles and Benjamin Armstrong from taking away what makes people human? So you'll notice that book is not poetry, and it doesn't have any poetry in it, but that's what inspired me. So all of the people in the Berserk group couldn't go by their first names because it was too dangerous. Instead, they had to go by well-known people from history, and they were also well-known for being kind of insane, and you'll see that because most of them are poets. So we have Plath, Kerouac, Alfredo, Keats, Pound, Wilkes, all of that great stuff. And the main character, her code name was Plath, so I went ahead and looked up Sylvia Plath, and I was inspired by her work. So Sylvia Plath, stereotypically known as the spokesperson for angsty teenage girls everywhere, was born in 1932. She wrote her first poem at the age of 8, and then in 1953 she had her first suicide attempt, survived, graduated, and then got married to Ted Hughes. In 1961, she wrote The Bell Jar, reflecting back onto a summer internship that she took during college. In 1962, she finds Ted cheating and has a whole creative spurt and writes a whole book worth of poetry. In 1963, she does have another suicide attempt and died in carbon monoxide poisoning. So Plath's novel, The Bell Jar, was written in 1963, and there was themes of alienation, self-destruction, and insanity. It follows a woman who struggles finding joy in life, and she tried to end her life in various different ways, spending a lot of time in the psychological ward with electrotherapy until transferring to a private hospital. She is eventually cleared to leave, but knows that the bell jar of madness might descend on her again at any moment. And so this is what led me to her other content, specifically her confessional poetry. So confessional poetry, of course, is about personal traumas and mental illnesses, relationships, and vulnerabilities. There's no middleman, you write exactly how you feel. So Plath wrote about love, death, and madness. And struggling with depression, anxiety, and heartbreak myself, I wrote down everything that was happening in my life and how it made me feel. So looking back, after going through countless books filled with words from a heartbroken and angsty young girl, I feel like the whole experience has gone full circle. It's giving me closure on the entire situation and allowed me to forgive him after so many years. And I will forgive him, but I will never let anybody forget because I wrote it in a whole book. So, the process. In creating this book, I first had to sift through all of the content that I made over the last 6 years to find anything related to that time period. And then I had to rewrite and revise all of the pieces into a more finished portfolio. Then I had to redraw various images and transfer them onto the computer. And then I combined all of the content, and here's where I decided the order of the pieces and which drawings would go with each poem. And then during the editing stage, I began a book file on Adobe InDesign and started formatting everything to see how it seems. And then after multiple final drafts, we have sent a final file for printing. So the theme inspiration. I wanted it to look like a worn notebook with ink splatter on it. I wanted it to feel like you just picked up a notebook and started reading some teenage girl's diary in the peak of her angst. I wanted them to look worn and emotional. By using the ink splatter, I wanted it to feel real and not cleaned up and censored for the public. So you'll notice in the table of contents that it is split up into 7 different parts. The drawing board, drafting, revision, scrap it, back to brainstorming, inspiration, and final submission. And each of the different parts follows the ups and downs of my mental state during the time that the pieces took place. So let's go ahead and take a look at the book. The front matter, of course, as soon as you flip that page, has the half title. And you always have a half title page just in case they accidentally flip 2 pages. So you always have that second one looking even better than that first one in the full title page. Then on the back of that, we see our copyright page full of boring but useful information. And then next we have our dedication. This is one for the boy who taught me a hard lesson early in life. Here are all the letters I wanted to give you, but burned instead. Then we have our beautiful table of contents. And then we have our author's note. Of course, my story starts with a boy, and I'm sorry, I know that's cliche. To him, I was just a toy, another one to break at the end of the day. This collection of poetry and drawing sums up my high school experience, complete with an abundance of teenage angst and rage. Starting with some ideas on the drawing board, we begin drafting. Once we have something that isn't terrible, we revise it so much it almost doesn't even resemble the original draft. After staying up all night thinking about it, we get out of bed at 2 a.m. and stumble over to the table, only to grab our finished product, tear it up and stuff it down the trash can, before slipping back into bed with a huff. In the morning, we go back to brainstorming, without much luck I might add. But after some unexpected inspiration, we have our final submission. Enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and read some pieces for you today. So in that first section called the drawing board, Little People on page 17 is going to help provide some context of the environment that the collection was taking place in. We are all human. We are all the same. So stop stepping on the little people trying to get to fame. Where is everyone's perspective? Everything is reversed. Stop stepping on the little people thinking you should be first. Everyone thinks it's funny, but in reality, you're stepping on the little people until they run and flee. So just go about your way and forget what you just read. You'll just keep stepping on the little people, going about your way until you're dead. And then next we have the drafting phase. I'm going to be reading In the Wrong Line on page 23. Sorry, what's incorrect on the presentation. And this is going to show a bit more about the boy's attitude throughout the collection. You say you love me, but in what way? Talking to a different girl every other day? Asks for advice because I'm a girl too, right? But no matter what I say, all you do with those girls is fight. You say you're done chasing those stupid girls. I wish you would just say I'm all yours. I gather my shred of courage, but in the meantime, he's already got the next one in line. Next we have our revision stage. And this is when I overheard more information about this boy than he had told me within the last week. And this is called Fly on the Wall on page 29. I listen to everyone talking, they just don't realize that I'm near. Whether in class or behind them walking, I secretly extend an ear. They would get so embarrassed if they knew how many secrets they just blew. But I also hear that you're moving away. And it seems everyone already knew. Why won't you text me every second of the day the way that you used to? But that's how girls like me learn everything, because no one cares that we're listening. I'm the one in the back of the room, up to nothing, at least everyone would assume, the innocent girl who just read books. No one pays her any attention when she looks. No one pays any attention at all. And here I thought you were different. Next, we're going to take a look at Life's a Stage. Oh goodness, sorry. We'll skip that for then. We'll take a look at page 51, where it says, rid myself of you. And this is where my love kind of turns into a hatred, seeing him interacting with my friends every day, but never talking to me. The hands that once held yours, the face that was completely assured, the heart that you had secured. And where are those empty hands now, that unstable face crying, wondering how, the heart now tattered, how could I allow? To get rid of that part of you in me, I must cut off my hands to be free. From the trash to the landfill, just some debris. The spell cast on my brain can be reversed. Every part of me you've left cursed. Pump my hair full of hair until it bursts. Rip my own heart out of my chest, throw it in the burn barrel with the rest. It's bloody poison, too much to digest. The only part of me that remains is my feet, the feet that should have ran the day we were destined to meet. And then we will go back to the brainstorming section. And on page 56, 57, and in my efforts to move on, I find this guy, and it does not last very long, as you will see in another poem later in this section. This is called, oh, I forgot. I only met you yesterday, but you make me smile anyway. You tell me I'm pretty every day. You make me feel important. You tell me I deserve it. But then again, I forget. Life is a play, and this is just a set. And then we have our inspiration. So finally, I met the right one, and he accepted me despite all my flaws, mentally and physically. And this is called Homecoming Attack on page 61. We worked together about twice a week when finally I had the courage to speak. He was tall, funny, and cute, but him asking me to homecoming couldn't compute. Flash forward to the dance, the whole night was a trance. His ex's best friend shouting death threats, but he was just living life with no regrets. He couldn't seem to keep it beat, so we left the dance floor in defeat. Went home for a quick break and then went out on a double date. At the diner, I broke out into hives, my allergies showing all of the signs. In the car on our way back, he gave me a kiss despite my allergy attack. Puffy eyes and a winded wheeze. Does this mean we're dating now? I tease. And just a little backstory on that one. I'm allergic to everything. In this case specifically, when we went home, his dog kind of jumped up on me, and I'm allergic to dogs. So that was great. That was great. But moving on, we have the last piece in the entire collection, which really just sums up the entire experience with my high school romance life. And that is on page 70, called From the Ashes. From under my bed, I retrieve the folder that, like me, has gotten much older. I flip to the back where the little bag lies, with an ashes of a letter written to the one I despised. I remember that night in the dim, dark garage, burning written pages of a misunderstood mirage. You made me hate everything those 3 years. I remember screaming in rage with eyes full of tears. But the other day, I saw a picture of you, and to be honest, I laughed when I saw it was true. You're now a fat stoner, and of course you dropped out, and I have one who brings too many blessings to count. I smile as I tuck the bag away because now I have someone who will stay. And then in the back matter, we have our special thanks. So I just wanted to thank one of the closest people I have in my life, Casey. Thank you for spending countless hours at Starbucks reading the same poems again and again and giving your feedback. Also, thank you for protecting me from those flies that kept distracting me. I pity the workers who had to clean the tables, windows, walls, and all of the other spots that covered in fly guts. It was you who got me to start reading all of those years ago, and you who continues to inspire me to keep writing today. I love you, Paradigm, which is a reference to one of the first book series we ever read together. And then my bio. So Reagan graduated from Wayne State College with honors in 2023 with a major in English writing and a minor in editing and publishing, as well as online and social media communications. In 2023, Reagan edited and designed Nebraska's annual FFA magazine, the Blue and Gold Spotlight. She also placed third in the 2023 Northern Plains Collegiate Media Association Golden Leaf Awards for the best general news photo published in the Wayne Stater, the campus-led newspaper. She was also part of various fiction and poetry slams during her time at WSC as well. Reagan was a peer tutor on campus, teaching and inspiring others about writing. Reagan spent a lot of time in her younger life with her father, either working out in the cornfields fixing pivots, up on a blazing roof in the peak of summer, remodeling her grandma's rental houses, or in her late teens at the church volunteering and helping out those in her community. So let's take a look at the back cover. So the italicized text represents what is seen on the outside, what other people see when they looked at me during this time frame, and then the big block text is what was actually happening underneath the surface. So where will this book go now? So I looked at a bunch of different self-publishing options, and I think Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, or KDP, is going to be the best option. It allows you to upload your book file, and then they will print it when somebody purchases it through Amazon. Amazon KDP, you don't have to have any inventory because it's all through Amazon. You don't have to have any customer service because, again, Amazon will handle that. Amazon is almost worldwide. There's low startup costs for me, and I get up to 60% of sales revenue minus the printing costs. And of course, in the future, I'll also take a look at making a personal website that would act as a kind of portfolio of sorts, showcasing excerpts from my work and more about who I am. This would be for the publishing companies to look into when I apply, but also for potential readers. Of course, this site will also link all of my social media accounts where I will also have an online presence. As far as the future works go, the dream is to continue writing on the side of my full-time job. This book targets teenagers specifically, and I want to keep writing it through different parts, different life experiences so that my audience might grow up with me and go through life with me through different stages. They will watch as my writing style evolves with the stage of life I am in, but will still be able to relate to it all the same. These are my references. And do we have any questions?